Hello everybody, my name is Tyler. I also go by Lord Prophet online. Today we're going to be doing some Lantern Control in Modern. Today we're going to roll the Esper Whir version I've been tinkering with a little bit. Whir has kind of dropped off ever since the Mox Opal ban, and this version pretty much only runs white because of prismatic ending. I'm still unsure if I want to go that direction or if I want to move back to Sultai like the original were and have access to ancient stirrings. Um, prismatic ending's okay, but I think at the end of the day I'd rather have ancient stirrings to go find bridges because they're a lot more important in this build since we are not running Urza sagas. And it also gives us access to things like Abrupt Decay and Assassin's Trophy for our removal package. Since Assassin's Trophy can kill anything, as opposed to Prismatic Ending having a cap. So our land base, like I said, we're not running any Urza Sagas in this list, so we're running the Standard Academy Ruin, 1 Academy Ruins. We're doing 4 Darkslick Shores, 3 Glimmer Voids, a Hallowed Fountain, 1 Inventor's Fair, 1 Basic Island, so we have something to go grab if we get Field of Ruin, 4 Seachrome Coast, 4 Spire of Industry, and 3 Watery Grave. I got our hand disruption over here with place at each of Inquisition and Thoughtseize. Our standard lantern package of 4 lanterns, 4 shredders, and 2 Pixis. We're running 3 Ensnaring Bridge instead of the 4 you'll see in the Abzan list because we have access to Whir of Invention to go fetch it when we need to. We're running Witchbane Orb still, which again you won't see in the Abzan list because it has no way to go fetch it. We're running a Torpor Orb in the main deck to help turn off the well, pretty much everything in Modern because Modern has become such an enter the battlefield format now between all of the evoke elementals, elementals in general when you think of Risen Reef, and just other value cards that have a lot of enter the battlefield abilities. Something like Primeval Titan comes to mind. We have a Soul Guide Lantern for a little bit of main deck graveyard hate. We have 3 Needles in the main, because similar to enter the battlefield abilities, there's a lot of activated abilities that we have to worry about in Modern nowadays. And for to round everything off, we have 2 Spell Skites and a Welding Jar main deck. Just a little bit of protection for our important pieces, especially with Beseiju being main deck in pretty much any deck that runs green nowadays. Over the sideboard, we have 2 more Welding Jars, another Spell Skite. We have 2 Damping Spheres. I'll probably go down to 1 Damping Sphere and throw a second Torpor Orb in the sideboard. I just don't have a second Torpor Orb on my account right now. Just because Tron is seeing essentially 0 play anymore. We have a Cursed Totem, more activated ability hate, so we can land that, turn off multiple permanents in one, all creatures, and then save our Pithing Needles for Planeswalkers, enchantments, artifacts, important other pieces. We have another Pithing Needle in the sideboard. We have 1 Underworld Cookbook for our burn matchup, any kind of a, each opponent loses life matchup, similar to, I think, Yogg combo, just to help us out there. I have a Grafdigger's Cage, more graveyard hate. We have 2 Tezzeret, Angel of Bolas, help close the game out a little bit quicker. Surgical Extraction, get rid of a pesky Beseiju so they can't loop Beseiju and Renin 6. And we have Seal Primordium in the sideboard. Surgical Extraction and Seal Primordium would normally be Engineer Explosives, but again, that's another card I just don't have on this account right now. So Seal Primordium is there because we can make green off of our Rainbow lands, and it helps us. We can set it and forget it in case we have a Blood Moon come down against us. So that's the list. We're going to jump into 1, maybe 2 games tonight. And then if we have time after those, we will probably play a little bit of Pioneer. There's an Abzan list I've been playing a lot of. Not Greasefang. It's a Abzan Rhinos list. So we'll see you in the games. Hello everybody, my name is Tyler. I also go by Lord Prophet online. Today we're going to be doing some Lantern Control in Modern. Today we're going to roll the Esper Whir version I've been tinkering with a little bit. Whir has kind of dropped off ever since the Mox Opal ban, and this version pretty much only runs white because of prismatic ending. I'm still unsure if I want to go that direction or if I want to move back to Sultai like the original were and have access to ancient stirrings. Um, prismatic ending's okay, but I think at the end of the day I'd rather have ancient stirrings to go find bridges because they're a lot more important in this build since we are not running Urza sagas. And it also gives us access to things like Abrupt Decay and Assassin's Trophy for our removal package. Since Assassin's Trophy can kill anything, as opposed to Prismatic Ending having a cap. So our land base, like I said, we're not running any Urza Sagas in this list, so we're running the standard Academy Ruin, 1 Academy Ruins. We're doing 4 Darkslick Shores, 3 Glimmer Voids, a Hallowed Fountain, 1 Inventor's Fair, 1 Basic Island, so we have something to go grab if we get Field of Ruin, 4 Seachrome Coast, 4 Spire of Industry, and 3 Watery Grave. I got our Hand Disruption over here with place at each of Inquisition and Thoughtseize. Our standard Lantern package of 4 Lanterns, 4 Shredders, and 2 Pixis. We're running 3 Ensnaring Bridge instead of the 4 you'll see in the Abzan list because we have access to Whir of Invention to go fetch it when we need to. We're running Witchbane Orb still, which again you won't see in the Abzan list because it has no way to go fetch it. We're running a Torpor Orb in the main deck to help turn off the, well, pretty much everything in Modern because Modern has become such an enter the battlefield format now between all of the Evoke Elementals, Elementals in general when you think of Risen Reef, and just other value cards that have a lot of enter the battlefield abilities. Something like Primeval Titan comes to mind. We have a Soul Guide Lantern for a little bit of main deck graveyard hate. We have 3 Needles in the main, because similar to Enter the Battlefield abilities, there's a lot of activated abilities that we have to worry about in Modern nowadays. And to round everything off, we have 2 Spell Skites and a Welding Jar main deck. Just a little bit of protection for our important pieces, especially with Boseiju being main deck in pretty much any deck that runs green nowadays. Over the sideboard, we have 2 more Welding Jars, another Spell Skite. We have 2 Damping Spheres. I'll probably go down to 1 Damping Sphere and throw a second Torpor Orb in the sideboard. I just don't have a second Torpor Orb on my account right now, just because Tron is seeing essentially 0 play anymore. We have a Cursed Totem, more activated ability hate, so we can land that, turn off multiple permanents in one, all creatures, and then save our Pithing Needles for Planeswalkers, enchantments, artifacts, important other pieces. We have another Pithing Needle in the sideboard. We have 1 Underworld Cookbook for our burn matchup, any kind of a, each opponent loses life matchup, similar to, I think, Yogg combo, just to help us out there. We have a Grafdigger's Cage, more graveyard hate. We have 2 Tezzeret, Angel of Bolas, help close the game out a little bit quicker. Surgical Extraction, get rid of a pesky Boseiju so they can't loop Boseiju and Renin 6. And we have Seal Primordium in the sideboard. Surgical Extraction and Seal Primordium would normally be Engineered Explosives, but again, that's another card I just don't have on this account right now. So Seal Primordium is there because we can make green off of our Rainbow lands, and it helps us. We can set it and forget it in case we have a Blood Moon come down against us. So that's the list. We're going to jump into 1, maybe 2 games tonight. And then if we have time after those, we will probably play a little bit of Pioneer. There's an Abzan list I've been playing a lot of. Not Greasefang. It's a Abzan Rhinos list. So we'll see you in the games. Alright, so we won the die roll here, which is great because I played a league the other night and lost every single die roll. So 4 lands, no turn 1 black source, and everything that's not a land is Hand Disruption, so we're going to pitch this. Actually gonna send this one back as well. 2 lands, but we have a 4-drop, still no black source. The main bridge in the hand is nice, but I just don't see it taking us anywhere. Now this is a lot better. We have 2 lands, both make blue. We have a Whir of Invention, a Pithing Needle, 2 hand disruption spells. So we will keep this. Now we're going to send Prismatic Ending, and we're actually going to send the Thoughtseize to the bottom. This lets us turn 1 Inquisition on the play, which is always nice. And then if we see anything important, we can land the Pithing Needle next turn. Alright, looks like Eldrazi Tron. So we know we're going to be bringing in the Damping Spheres post board. I think here we're actually going to take the Expedition map. Try to keep them off of their Tron. I don't love the Blast Zone, but that's something we can Pithing Needle. And Snaring Bridge can be very important in this matchup. So here's Relic. Not a big card. We don't really care too much about Relic. Just because, with the exception of Academy Ruins, we don't really play out of our graveyard that much. Alright, so Spellskite, we can worry about that next turn. So we'll just save a little bit of life here. And land the Pithing Needle. They do have a Swamp in their hand, which is interesting. Last I checked, I don't think Eldrazi Tron really plays any basic lands except maybe a forest, but we'll see what they're... Maybe I'm completely wrong about what they're on, but you see Matter Reshaper, you kind of think Eldrazi Tron. And there's the Matter Reshaper. Alright, I have a Glimmer Void, so we will Spellskite. So with any luck, next turn we'll draw a Welding Jar and we can just straight up work for Bridge. He's not casting anything, so I don't know if maybe he's got Warping Whale. Oh, well, there's a land. That still lets us work for Bridge. Had to pay a little bit of life to do it, but that's okay. Land Snaring Bridge. And now we just need to set up top lock. I'm a little surprised we haven't seen a Thought-Knot Seer yet. He's got the Urza Saga. Constructs are fine because we have the bridge. We're not worried about the constructs. I'd be a little concerned about what he goes and gets off of the Urza Saga. My money's probably on an Expedition map to try to find his last Tron piece. There's a Pixis. We'll go ahead and play that. No, dismember. That's fine. It removes a little bit of protection for the bridge, but I'm not really sure what kind of bridge hate they might have in colorless. We saw that swamp, but black isn't black, and not black is one of those colors that just doesn't have many answers to artifacts. Okay, so there's our threats. We have Ugin the Ineffable. We don't care about Ugin. We do care about Ugin the Spirit Dragon slightly, because he can bolt us. But I think we have to take the Walking Ballista here, because that's a threat he can play right away. He still doesn't have his last Tron piece, so he's a little bit away from playing an Ugin. I stand corrected. He just played Ugin this turn. Still, I'm not super worried about Ugin. It's a slow clock. He can deal 3 to us every turn. That still gives us 4 turns to find a Pithing Needle or Witchbane Orb. Now there's the Whir of Invention. So here we'll just go get the Witchbane Orb. And that should lock this up. Let's see if the opponent wants to keep playing. I'm just not sure what answers they might have. They also might just play the clock, try to give us less time to win in games 2 and 3. We're currently about even on clock, so yeah, he's going to be exiling cards off the top of his library and making spirits, but these spirits aren't going to be able to attack. We don't really, besides our prismatic endings, we don't really run that much removal, so we're not super worried about him getting any of those cards. Bolted in Battery Shaper, see what he gets. Eldrazi Temple. I think at this point we're in really good shape. It's just inevitable. So wonders if he's going to actually try to run out the clock, or if he's going to concede and try to win games 2 and 3. So we're just going to continue to play. And at this point, we're going to start using the Pixis on his end step. We have more cards in deck than he does. We have more time on the clock. And he's really helping us out here because of using the Ugin. Alright, let's see what he gets off this Ugin ult. Gain 7, draw 7. I can put 7 cards onto the field. So I think our biggest concern here is Karn. Well, that's a little unfortunate. So he has Karn Great Creator. We can still beat that if we draw a Prismatic Ending, but that does hurt us a little bit. So he got a Walking Ballista. Not sure if he just didn't have any better options, but we still have the Witchbane Orb. So unless he has a way to get rid of the Witchbane Orb, and I feel like if he did, it would have been on the field already, I'm not concerned about a Walking Ballista. Unless he's planning to machine gun down his own spirits in order to be able to get... Okay, Chalice on 1. I don't care. We're not going to be able to establish a top block, but I honestly don't think he has anything in his list that actually beats us. So if Chalice on 1, Chalice on 0, we can still cast things to keep our hand empty for bridge, so I'm not worried about the Chalices. We also have 2 more Whirs. Play the Pithing Needle, it's going to get countered by the Chalice. We're just trying to keep everything out of our hand. He's got far fewer cards left in his deck, and he's got much less time on the clock at this point. So I guess he can... Okay, he does have an out here. He can use his Karn to animate our ensnaring bridge and then bolt it down with the Ugin. He's going after the Witchbane Orb. And I think we actually will scoop it here. Save a little time. So the Damping Spheres are going to come in. Cursed Totem, I'm not super worried about. It's 1 less Pithing Needle that we need, but actually in this case we do need quite a few needles. So we're going to bring in Pithing Needle. Torpor Orb can come out. The only thing we're really worried about with Torpor Orb would be Thought-Knot Seer. So, you know, if we get hit by a Thought-Knot, my bad. But I don't think it's as important in this matchup. Prismatic Ending is kind of the same vein. We'll keep 2 in just to deal with Chalices if we need to. But I'm not super concerned about having removal. And Soul God Lantern will come out. This isn't a graveyard hate matchup. So we'll bring in the Tezzerets. And go down 1 more Prismatic Ending. Oh, you have 1 Prismatic Ending to deal with, a Chalice on 1. Other than that, I think we're good to go. There's a little argument for bringing in Surgical if we're able to mill away a Urza land, but since this is an Eldrazi Tron matchup and not traditional Tron, it's a little bit less valuable. Okay, this is a good hand. We have 3 lands. Unfortunately, only 1 of them produces blue. We do have 2 hand disruption spells, 2 shredders, so I think this is a keep. Alright, Battery Shaper, Chalice, Ballista, and Ugin. Still not concerned about Ugin the Ineffable. Battery Shaper might be a pain. He has 2 Urza's pieces. We're just going to take Chalice, and then take Chalice again next turn. As far as Ballista goes, we can go find a Pithing Needle for that if and when the time comes. But making sure we can actually cast our spells is more important here. And speaking of the devil, there's a Pithing Needle. So we will Academy Ruins. We're going to Thought Seed him and take that other Chalice. He found a Blast Zone, so that's a little bit of a pain, but it's good to know about. And actually, in this case, we will take care of the Blast Zone first. I just think we have time later on to go find another needle for Walking Ballista. That game went on pretty long. That first game went on pretty long. And we have 4 needles in the deck at the moment. Okay, there's a card we like. We're going to run out the Codex Shredder. And we're going to roll out this Damping Sphere. So now even if he does find his 3rd Tron piece, it's going to slow him down quite a bit. So draw 2 temples. So there could be a Thought Knot Seer here, but all we've got in hand is a Shredder. And if he exiles a Shredder, I'm not super worried about it. It's more likely the Battery Shaper we saw earlier. He can't. He might be trying to Thought Knot Seer. Unfortunately, the Damping Sphere says no. He does seem to be tapping and untapping quite a bit. So now we're going to see the Reshaper just because he can't play the Thought Knot Seer. So we're going to gain a little bit of life back here with our Inventor's Fair. That's actually exactly what I wanted. I want to draw, hopefully we'll draw a land next turn as well. I'd like to be able to pop Inventor's Fair pretty soon and just fetch up either a Lantern or another needle. There's KGC. That's a little bit of a concern. I probably wanted to mill him a little bit first. There was no need. We don't have a bridge yet, so he might be going for a Wormcoil here. So if we actually don't find a bridge soon, this could be a pretty short game. We got liquid metal cutting. So he's going to start going after our lands. Well, there's the bridge, so I think we're going to go ahead and land this while we can. And with any luck, our next draw will be Pithing Needle. And here's the coding. Most likely. 4 mana. Ballista for 2 possibly. If I were him, I would have gone straight for the coding and start getting rid of lands. Obviously, bridge means nothing if we can't cast our spells, so that's where I would have gone personally. I think he's still trying to make 2 mana off this Eldrazi Temple, and it's not working because of the Damping Sphere. Okay, so he casts Engineered Explosives for 0, and cracks the Engineered Explosives for 0. I'm not 100% sure this guy knows how his deck works. The key with Engineering Explosives is the Sunburst ability. It only gets counters for the amount of colors of mana you spent on it, which in this case was 0, because he, beyond the, 1 swamp we saw earlier, he might have more than that, but he's a colorless deck. So Engineering Explosives is almost always going to be on 0 for him. So we know at least one card is Liquid Metal Coating, which is casting now. We know he's got the Ugin the Ineffable. We know he's got a Walking Ballista. So there's the coding. He's probably going to start going after lands. Yep, there's going after Spire of Industry. Going after our colors. Personally, since we're a mostly colorless deck, I would have gone after the utility lands like the Academy Ruins or the Inventor's Fair first, but I'm going to keep gaining some life here. We don't have blue, so that actually was a good hit. Not that we had blue with that, but that was probably one of our worst draws. I would have rather seen Pithing Needle or even a Lantern, honestly. Just something that we'd be able to play and, well, not necessarily use because we can't crack a Lantern, but it still gives us extra information. So yeah, now he goes after the Inventor's Fair. Okay, you're getting Ineffable, not one we're worried about. But I think we are going to end up having to scoop this up here pretty soon. We're not going to be able to keep lands on the board unless we find a Pithing Needle in the next 2 turns. This game's pretty much lost. Codex Shredder doesn't do it, but we'll play it out. We're going to make him get rid of our lands. If we find a Pithing Needle before then, we're in great shape. If we don't, then we can scoop it up and move on to the next game. Looking at the time, we're probably just going to move into Pioneer after this. We'll do a really quick overview of that list. And then we'll probably call it a night. There's Ballista for 4. On the upside, if we sit here for another 9 minutes and 40 seconds and he keeps playing slowly, we could just clock him out. I don't like gaming the clock like that, but yeah, he is definitely taking his time with his turns, so. Okay, so it's still no blue mana, so at this point, we're going to scoop it up. He's going to be able to start getting for damage, and this game's pretty much over. Let's just check, make sure people are playing Pioneer before we get into that. Maybe people are playing, so we'll play some Pioneer. So my Pioneer deck right now is Abzan Rhino. I actually had to find this list. I really liked the old Abzan Siege Rhino decks from Standard back in the Tarkir days. That's when I first started getting into Magic competitively. So I wanted to play something similar, more mid-rangey, but not the Grease Fang or Elves or other decks that are in Pioneer right now. So I found this one. It won an RCQ in, I think, Louisiana about a month ago. So we have a pretty spread out land base over here. I'm not going to go over all of it. Just making sure we can get all our colors. We're on 3 Llanowar Elves to help us ramp a little bit. We got 3 Thoughtseize, 2 Fatal Push. We got 2 Abrupt Decays and Dramoka's Command. And then we just have a veritable smorgasbord of different creatures we can play out. Lots of fun of. We have a Scavenging Ooze, Murder Fighter, Tireless Tracker, a Camball for the Phoenix list, Knight of Autumn. We got 3 Loxodon Smiters, which is a lot of fun. I've actually had several games come up where I've been able to put that in for free. We got Kalitas, Questing Beast, and of course our Siege Rhinos. We got an Obsidat and a Carnage Tyrant to round out our creatures list. We got a little bit of Vraska's Contempt over here for more removal. And for Planeswalkers, we have 2 Liliana the Last Hope, 2 Vraska Golgari Queen, and a Sorin Vengeful Bloodlord. He's a lot of fun to be able to recur our Siege Rhinos if we need to. Then for more removal, we have March of Otherworldly Light, and then we have Agadeem's Awakening, just as land fixing and more reanimation if needed. Sideboard's pretty quick. 2 Leyline of Sanctity, 2 Leyline of the Void. Settle the Wreckage for those go wide decks like Elves, or I still see people playing stuff like Goblins. Heliod's Intervention. We got a Noxious Grasp again for the Elves decks. Return to Nature. We get Shifting Ceratops for our control matchup. Toski, just another fun of Indestructible. And his clause of whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card, is really helpful in a deck that has quite a few tramplers. I got Ashiok just to help turn off tutoring in the opponents. Binding the Old Gods is another removal spell plus ramp and not, I wouldn't say evasion, but giving death touch to our creatures is essentially evasion. Combos actually really well with Toski and any creature with trample. You assign one and then deal the rest, so you get to draw some cards. And we just have Fine and Finality. Lets us return creatures if we need to, and put some +1/+1 counters around. So drop 2 +1/+1 counters on a Cannonball or a Questing Beast or a Tracker, and then -4/-4 the board. So buff our guys and hopefully wipe the opponent's board. So we're just going to jump in and play a quick game before the Steelers game comes on. Don't hate me, I'm a Steelers fan. Not been our season, but I don't think anybody expected it to be with a rookie quarterback. So that's all I'm going to say on our season. Alright, we get to play first. We have Fatal Push, we have Cannonball. I think we keep it. We'll just run out the Overgrown Tomb first. We do have Boulder Loft to get us our white source. So we're just going to run out the Overgrown Tomb. We don't really have a turn 2 play, so we will just not take the life loss. We can Fatal Push something on our turn if we have to, just because we're not trying to do anything. Forest. We want to say Elves or Greasefang. Oath of Nissa. Okay. Is this like a Super Friends? Dragon Skull Summit revealed. So I know they're in Jund at the very least. I'm not a huge Pioneer player most of the time. I'll play every now and then. But I'm still learning a lot of the meta. I play a little bit on Untap when I have some downtime at work. Over there, I'm actually playing a more Ponza style list. I'm a big sucker for land destruction. If you couldn't tell by the decks I play between Ponza and Lantern, I really like messing with the opponent. So we're just going to run out Cannonball here. Get our black, white. So hopefully we'll draw a land here to get our Siege Rhino down. And start going to town. Alright, there's a land. So yeah, I think we're just going to run out the Siege Rhino here, start putting some pressure on the Sarkhan. There's an argument for marching it, but I would rather hold that for a more impactful Planeswalker if this is a Super Friends list. So he'd get a Lightning Axe, the Siege Rhino. We have Sorin. We could play that next turn if we want to go get Siege Rhino back. Alright, Alright, dragon spells. We're going to see a Glory Bringer or a Thunderbreak Regent. So this is a Jund Dragons list, apparently. Opportunistic Dragon. Okay. So I think what we're going to do here is get... I still think our best bet is probably just to Sorin, get a Siege Rhino back. Unfortunately, we don't have a 5th land that we'd be able to Sorin and then Fatal Push the Opportunistic Dragon. There's also the option of using the March of Otherworldly Light, which actually might be our play here. But I'd rather Fatal Push the dragon. So we're going to run out Sorin and hope that Siege Rhino at least lives for a turn. That way it leaves us open to using the Fatal Push on the dragon. We're also draining our opponent, which is really helpful. I mean, we're up to 30 life here, so they're going to have to do something really soon. This is one of the situations where I really miss having fetches in the format to be able to activate our Revolt. Okay, there's the Glory Bringer. The opponent's going to get in for 8 here. Glory Bringer is going to be a bit of a problem. We're not going to block. I'm a little surprised he didn't get in with the Glory Bringer. Okay, Llanowar Elves. Let's go ahead and run it out. Maybe we can bait a removal spell to trigger our Revolt. I don't want to attack just yet because he's just going to chump with our Campbell. I also don't have another white spell in hand to be able to maximize this March of Otherworldly Light. He is also getting pretty close to ultimating the Sarkhan. So we're going to need to start fighting our way through here soon. Goldspan Dragon. Okay. So more and more defenses for Sarkhan. So he's dealing 4 damage to the Siege Rhino, which which is a little interesting. I mean, we can't block with the Siege Rhino. Kraken treasure. So braid, that's fine. We lose Siege Rhino again. This does open up a way to get our Campbell back. We are in trouble here. So we got Campbell back. Alright, so there's another land. We're gonna have to shock it. Got another green source too, which is good. So we will just go ahead and take care of the Sarkin now. Now we're gonna run out Kalitas. Hopefully he lives and we can start gaining some life. Okay, with Campbell. I gotta keep in mind this Glorybringer is not gonna untap. Next turn, he's only got 4 mana. Now that we've taken care of the Sarkin, we probably did let the Sarkin live too long once he started using it for mana instead of the draw discard. Oh, good lord. Another opportunistic dragon. There goes our Campbell again. Playing a new Oath of Nissa. We're not super worried about that. We'll see what he reveals. Hopefully he just finds a land, but I'm not too optimistic. Yeah, there's another Glorybringer. We're gonna get rid of this opportunistic dragon. Get our Campbell back. And we're gonna get in with Kalitas. So we are one swing with Kalitas, but it'll gain us a little bit of life. Take the opponent down to 5. Yeah, he is going to exert his Glorybringer. I figured that he'd try to eat our Kalitas. Now we're going to take a bunch of damage here. We're going to get in for 3, so we need to find something here to make him lose life, but yeah, Loxodon Smiter is not going to do it, so we're going to scoop it, I think. Alright, what do we want out of the sideboard? I guess we can bring in Binding of the Old Gods just as more removal for Planeswalkers and his big dragons. I'm actually going to bring in the Settle the Wreckages. That he swings out like that, we can kind of blow him out that way. And I think that's really all we want here. So now we need to find what are we going to cut. We cut 3 cards down. Dramoka's Command is just okay. We still want Vraska's Contempt. We still want the Abrupt Decays. We need to be able to kill the Sarkans when they show up. Obviously, that's a good one for draining if we're not able to get through. We still want the Reverse Riders. Probably going to go down the 2 Lilianas. The -2, -1 doesn't really kill anything that he's running with. Alright, so we have a Settled Wreckage. We don't have any white mana, but we have a Settled Wreckage. So, it's an iffy keep, so we're actually not going to keep it. No white mana, only 2 lands. We have nothing to do until turn 3. This is oddly worse. We have our colors. Still nothing to do till turn 3, but we still only have 2 lands. We're going to keep it, though, and I think we're going to put the Carnage Tyrant to the bottom. This really isn't the Carnage Tyrant matchup. Trample and Hexproof is fine, but he's going to be attacking with dragons a lot sooner than we're even going to be playing Carnage Tyrant. Alright, I'm just going to roll out the Deathclap Blade here and pass the turn. And hope we find another land. This is the one thing I'm not big on with this deck, is that there's a lot of high drop creatures here. So if you don't have 3 lands and you're starting, you might be in some trouble. Alright, there's Takenuma. So we do have 3 lands now. At the very least, we'll be able to drop Camball or Knight of Autumn. Probably Camball just to get the incidental life loss when he plays the Sarkhan. Oh, Sea Drino. Now we really want another land. So it looks like you didn't draw the Sarkhan, so he's having to actually... Well, be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. We wanted a 4th land. Unfortunately, it's a fast land. So he's actually having to manually cast these, so we might see... I still think he's probably running Thunderbreak, but we just didn't see it last game. So we're just going to pump up Knight of Autumn a little bit. A 3 mana 4/3 is pretty good to have. It could be an Opportunistic Dragon also. Lose our Campbell. And it is a Opportunistic Dragon. Oh. So this is where reading the card explains the card. We didn't want to attack with Sea Drino in the last game because he was going to chump with the Campbell. Opportunistic Dragon doesn't let it attack or block. So that actually was not a big concern. So we're just going to run out our Sea Drino here. And we are going to swing with the Knight of Autumn. I'm okay with trading here to get the Campbell back. I don't think he will. I think he values a 4/3 flyer a lot more than that. He's probably also got a Glory Bringer, so he'll just exert and kill this instead. Yeah, there's the Glory Bringer. Yeah, there's the Glory Bringer. There's the Exert to kill the Knight of Autumn. He's leaving back the Opportunistic Dragon, so I'm wondering if he actually is going to block the Siege Rhino here. Murder Slider's good. We're going to run out the Cletus first. Mostly because if he does block with Opportunistic Dragon, we'll get a zombie out of that. And then we can murder, if he doesn't, we can Murder Strider it next turn and get our Campbell back. That's a no block. Now, there's not going to be a Glory Bringer. His Glory Bringer is not going to swing next turn, but we could see one out of the hand if he's got another one. We could see a Goldspan Dragon. It's actually a pretty cool list. I've always been a fan of the big Dragon Stompy decks. Okay, Lightning Axe. Okay. Now we're gonna get rid of Vraska here. Its kill spell, its kill ability doesn't kill really anything that our opponent's working with, except for the Oath of Nissa, ironically. We're still just gonna off the Opportunistic Dragon with the Murderous Rider and try to get in for some life gain here. And we're gonna have exactly one swing with our Kalitas, so we gotta make it count. Okay, there's an Obsidat. I almost like Obsidat better, but that can wait. We're still at a pretty high life total. We're gonna gain another 3 here. Unless Lightning Axe is instant. So he could Lightning Axe the Kalitas. We're gonna find out. But if we can get him down to 5 and then start looping the Obsidat, gain some life, we can exile it at the end of the turn so that he can't get hit by something. Now we're still at 20, so we have quite a bit of life to work with since he's not dropping multiple dragons. So we'll probably see an Exert here to kill the Kalitas. Opportunistic Dragon, taking our Campbell back. Yeah, we're just going to get rid of the land here. We might wait a turn on the... No, we're going to Obsidat first, and then we can get rid of the Opportunistic Dragon with the March of Otherworldly Light. way off of casting the Agadeem's Awakening for 4, unfortunately. Still 2 mana off of that, so we're just going to play the land. We're not going to pay the life for it. So we need white, white, black, black, and 1. Get the Abzan down. Drain him, drain him, gain some. He's tapped out, so at the end of his turn, we'll exile the Abzan, and he's going to have to gain some life or we win this game. And there's the concession. We're just going to run it back. That game still wasn't great for us. Glorybringer's kind of a pain when it comes to repeatable removal. But I don't think we have anything in our sideboard, really, that changes things. Toski is fun, but it's never going to get through. So even though it's indestructible, it's kind of pointless to be out there. Alright, we got 3 lands, we got our colors, and we got turn 1 and probably turn 2 Thoughtseize. We're going to keep this. I actually don't want to see a Camball this game. My opponent doesn't play that many non-creature spells. Looks like just Sarkhan and the Oath of Nissa. So all it really does is get taken by Opportunistic Dragon. There's a Settle the Wreckage. It'll be good when we find a 4th land. Hopefully that 4th land is a white source. Alright, Anger the Gods, Glorybringer. We're going to take Glorybringer here for pretty obvious reasons. Oh, Thoughtseize. He scoops with Thoughtseize. So clearly our opponent really didn't have much in hand, so that works for us. So that's it for tonight. I'm going to go watch the game. I hope you all are having a great New Year's Day, and we will see you next time.